This is Mod Elena.
This is Mod Light.
This is Mod Surma.
This is Mod Nin.
This is Mod Grub.
This is Mod Husky. Take one.
What is sailing?
Sailing is Old School RuneScape's 24th new skill.
I'd say this is about the biggest and most ambitious project we've ever done.
There's going to be so much content that you can go and explore.
There's so many new islands, and then what's the story on those islands?
You'll sail around and you'll find new Slayer monsters, find new hunting spots.
It's probably the biggest skill we've ever done, and probably one of the biggest projects we'll ever do.
How do you go about making the incredibly vast oceans feel alive?
A big goal for us with Sailing's development was to make the sea feel alive. Looking at the world map in the existing game, it's kind of like a big blue carpet. There's nothing going on there. So developing Sailing was really tricky in that regard because we're used to the sort of content density on land. We know what that should feel like, but we never knew what that should feel like on the sea because by nature the sea is quite vast. There's not that much going on out there. Trying to combine those two and find a middle ground that works was quite an interesting design challenge.
The environment in a video game is an essential character. It itself is guiding you through the story, giving you a clue where to go next, giving you warnings about maybe some places you shouldn't go. How do you do that to the carpet? We have obviously the depth underneath you, the islands naturally. There's also the creatures that are there. There's the other ships sailing around. The more we looked into it, the more we realized there is a tremendous amount of story that is actually asking already to be told in the ocean. So in attempt to make that carpet more interesting, what we've done is we started to bring out those stories.
I think we've ended up with a place where it's quite dense, initially in areas close to the shore. And then as you go deeper, there's just less going on, there's bigger distances. But it makes sense because at the point that you're there, your boats are also faster. So you get around a lot quicker. There's a few random bits and bobs out on the ocean. I would recommend just stopping by any island that you have access to. There's also these random events that can happen when you're out sailing to just spice up those journeys from port to port.
Let's talk about exploration. Are players free to explore the ocean and all the new islands within Gielinor?
Yes, with an asterisk.
Players can explore most of the ocean. We've locked off some bits, so mainly to the east, so sort of south of Sophanum and east, and north of, I want to say, Weiss and east, west of Volumor and Corend as well.
But there are portions of the sea that are quite hazardous, require specific counters to avoid damage. That was just part of us trying to make the sea come to life and just sort of create an interesting environment to explore in. There's definitely different feels across the ocean. When I go to the northern parts of the sea, it feels very cold, and there's mechanics that deal with that right about there. So I would just say if a player is looking to be quite ambitious and you're a hardcore account, maybe just, let someone else test the waters a little bit first.
We want to know about level progression in sailing, from early to late game. So, give us your speedrun level 1 to 99 guide immediately.
All right, well, level 1, you're going to start doing a quest called the Pandemonium. You start in Port Sarim. It takes you to the Pandemonium. It gives you a little raft, and then you can sail around on the raft. You're then going to do port tasks between Port Sarim and the Pandemonium, and then eventually Musa Point delivering cargo.
And then you also have something really exciting called bounty tasks, where you can use your ship to take down an enemy and then take those goods that you receive from the enemy back to a port. Once you hit level 15, you're going to want a small boat. It has some really cool facility slots that you can start to manage, so getting yourself your very own salvaging hook. And then you can also customize the sturdiness and the speed of your boat, things like your hull, your keels, your sails, etc.
For players who want a bit more of a chill experience, there's some shipwreck salvaging, although I'm very aware that some of the more skill-based skilling players might like to tick manipulate that. We've seen some wonderful demonstrations from the alpha and beta from Hibok Xiong.
From that, you get some salvage that you can sort through to get loot, or you could just drop it if you're more interested in the XP and the AFK element of it. There are quests on the way. I would suggest doing them at the level that you unlock them. I think there's 4, maybe 5. So there's the intro quest that everyone needs to do to access sailing. There's the Troubled Tortugans quest as well that kind of unlocks the Great Conch area, which is the biggest island we're doing for sailing. And then there's a few smaller quests here and there. I won't spoil too much, but I believe there's another 2 quests. So let's go with 4. It's probably right.
Can you call Mod Ed and put him on speaker and ask him when the next penguin quest is?
Mod Ed? Hello? Yeah, sorry, it's the camera people. They're asking when the next penguin quest is. Oh, you don't want me to tell them? Can we get them a spoiler? Oh, he dies? Oh. For those who wish to tackle things that are more like time trials, there's going to be the Barracuda trials, so there's going to be 3 of those staged at various points in the skill. Obviously, make sure to upgrade your boat well beforehand. You're not going to be doing so well in those trials if you're going very slow.
The last one I want to highlight is charting the seas. This is a one-off activity. You go and you interact with something in the world, note it down in your little captain's log, and then once you chart enough in an area, you can then start to get benefits from that. One benefit could be, now there are rapids in this area that speed up my boat, or now I can get these drinks on my boat that like buff my crewmates.
It was very important to us when we were designing sailing that it integrates with a lot of existing skills. Sailing that didn't integrate with anything would have just kind of felt like it was away from the game as its own separate thing. You've got integration with crafting, smithing, and construction just to get through boat building.
There's new fishing methods, so we have lantern fishing, which gets you squid. There's the deep sea trolling training activity that trains both sailing and fishing. There's a new hunter method called crab hunting. There's new slayer monsters, so there's the griffins. I'm really looking forward to fighting the griffin boss. There's the aqua knights and the lava strike worms as well.
Can you explain the chicken and why he's a scrongle?
The griffin boss needed a pet, and we decided it needed a morph. And Art whipped up this amazing little chicken, and for some reason they called him Scrongly. And that kind of started this avalanche internally of like 20 new emotes with different versions of Scrongly. You have like a Scrongly with the coffee, you have a Scrongly with like sunglasses, that's just called Scrongly Deal With It. There's a lot of Scronglys.
What can you tell us about the new items and resources that will be coming into the game?
As far as items and resources specifically, we wanted to focus on hardwoods for boats. That kind of makes sense. They're already tied to construction. But there are only 4 tiers, and we wanted to have more tiers of boats. So we're going to be introducing camphor, ironwood, and rosewood as 3 new tiers above that. There's a lot of integration with some new ores as well. For that, we sort of looked into things that are a bit more anti-weathering, you know, things that are water resistant. So we're looking at things like lead and cupronickel that are kind of used in the mid to late game sailing stuff. On top of woodcutting and mining, which I think have had a lot of focus for shipbuilding, there is the sort of stuff on the side that is more to do with farming. So on the traditional side, we're revitalizing hops patches a lot with adding flax as something that obviously already exists in the game and players can get without farming, but we'll get to see that process of turning flax into linen just sort of a bit more realized in the game. We're going to be introducing hemp as well as a step up from that, and then eventually cotton. These are all going to be used for sales. And then on top of all the hop stuff, there's also the coral farming stuff, which more or less I would consider it like a super herb seed. They'll take twice as long to grow, but they'll give you twice the yield in return. And these will be used in new potions, so we'll get to see new unfinished potions made out of these. And some of those supplies are going to be gathered from other places in sailing, such as with the new fish. And there's a bit more integration as well with existing potions where some of the new supplies are going to be added to them. So Belle's Folly is a new sword item. It's a reward from the Griffin boss, the Shellbane Griffin. It's basically the stab equivalent of the zombie axe. It will require your sailing level to be trained, but you know, I like when our game has lots of different routes. So the Horn of Plenty is a new offhand hunter item that is obtained by killing griffins. It will provide a +2 invisible boost to your hunting skill and a +4 boost when charged. And while charged, it will passively sort of drain feathers while you're catching things. And it has an additional 1 in 10 chance to double the resource that you're gathering. Really interesting to see where players use this. Obviously it'll be good for hunter generally, but especially when you want to gather those expensive resources, kind of like red chins or maybe even the new rainbow crabs. See what players consider using it there. We've been thinking of a lot of skilling items and how we can introduce a few more of those from PVM. The Toxic Blowpipe has been a weapon that's obviously been in Old School for quite a while now, ever since Zelda released. So we kind of thought that obviously we like where the Toxic Blowpipe is and we don't want to introduce new blowpipes that sort of supersede that. But the Camphor, Ironwood, and Rosewood blowpipes are a way for us to introduce those to a lower sort of level where, you know, you can still get the benefit of using darts, and darts are already really strong in the game. The Rosewood blowpipe specifically has a special attack as well, which is kind of going to be like a baby dragon knife special attack. It's not going to be as strong, but I'll be interested to see if that special attack gets used in certain places. For those who are considering getting one themselves, you'll probably want to have a look at lantern fishing as well and get your hands on a squid beak, as that's quite an integral component to make the new blowpipes.
Let's talk about combat. How does combat work in sailing?
Combat in sailing works by interacting with the cannon facility on the boat. So kind of similar to how you would lock into the helm of the boat to navigate. You also need to lock into the cannon to lock into sort of combat mode, if you will. So once you're locked in, you just click on an NPC and your character will try to fire the cannon at that NPC. We kind of wanted to like create a very basic combat system before we start building on top of it. So if you think about the existing combat in game, when it launched, it was just click cow, wait until cow is dead. But looking at the combat sort of scenery today, you have crazy bosses with mechanics and focusing on prayers and movements and all that kind of stuff. I could see sailing moving into that territory over time, but we wanted to make sure that the base combat works fine. But regardless, we do have a variety of different creatures. So you start off just fighting like basic sharks or even like seabirds, like terns. You might fight those initially, maybe some mogres out at sea. And just like with the helm, you can assign a crewmate to the cannon and then they will try to fire for you.
Crewmates are almost integral to sailing, in all honesty. You don't get them at the start. I believe the level to unlock them is about level 40, which gives you just enough time to get familiar with the boat itself so that you can then direct them how to do it. Crewmates themselves can more or less do anything a player can do. And they satisfy that requirement where we've got all these cool facilities on a boat, but you just wouldn't be able to use them because you're too busy steering the boat. I'm quite excited for sailing to sort of feel like you start off on your weird little raft and building up and gathering that experience, and you'll move from an adventurer to newbie sailor to eventually a captain, and that's hopefully where crewmates will come in to fulfill that fantasy. And essentially it just gives the solo player the ability to interact with content in the same way that a group of players might. All in all, they're really exciting. They've got lots of different stats on them where, you know, some crewmates might be better at some facilities than others. And different crewmates also have different unlocks in order to be able to get them onto your crew. So I'm sure players will have fun exploring both sailing content and non-sailing content to see who they can convince to join their crew.
Where is Sea Shanty 3?
Sea Shanty 3. It's locked up in a cupboard, not to be released ever. Sailing's a really, really interesting one. It's not like a life or death boss encounter or like a raid. We want to make the sailing experience really chill, really nice, but also very epic and really feel like you're kind of embarking on a massive, massive adventure whilst in your boat. And we wanted to make sure that we've got music for each ocean. I need to count again, but I'm pretty sure we've got 18 plus tracks for this update, this initial update anyway, and I really hope to do more in the future. In sailing, we've got loads of new creature NPCs. You've got the giant wasps, giant ants, krakens, rays, dolphins, all sorts, all of which have their own sound effects. Some are super cute, some are really icky and scary. But when you're battling and when you're training, hope you hear a little bit of sound and think of me. For sailing, we've got a really, really exciting collaboration to announce. On the back of his Sea Shanty 2 performance at Tomorrowland, we've worked and collaborated with Alan Walker to produce music for the sailing launch.
Hi everyone, my name is Alan Walker. I'm a music producer and DJ. I've been working with music for 10, 12 years now. I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to travel the world and still work with music. After I played the Tomorrowland, I got really inspired and just had like, Old School RuneScape is releasing sailing. Could I potentially pitch an idea to them to see what if they would actually allow or like be interested in collaborating with someone like me or anyone for the matter. So I just had this crazy idea, made a song, sent it in, tried to have some Easter eggs with the main lobby theme, and the team loved it. And they were positive, wanted to work with me. So far, we put together 3 songs, so it's the in-game song and 2 other versions of that song. But I'm still trying and experimenting to make more pieces that we might sooner or later, at a later instance, see in game 2.
What does it mean to you to finally see sailing go live?
I won't lie, I'm myself. It's pretty terrifying. I'm feeling pretty confident, but I don't think you can ever play it too cool with a release this big.
It's crazy that the project's almost over, that it's almost in the hands of players. We were talking about it with the team recently, and it's been 3 years since we started the new skill journey. And it's just crazy how far we've come in that time.
For me personally, I'm like terrified still, but I have a lot of confidence in the team and what they've delivered. There's been so much passion that's gone into this project that it's really hard for me to imagine a world where this doesn't just exceed player expectations.
It's been an epic beyond anything we've done so far. So I feel probably equal parts terror, joy, an immense amount of pride. I love working with this team, the way we've approached this, the way we've tackled this, the things we've overcome. The privilege of my career, I've said it already, but I'll say it again because I really mean that.
It means everything to me that sailing is about to go live and players are gonna experience it for the very first time. Sailing is as much yours as it is ours, and we cannot wait for you to set sail.
I'm always excited when the game tries to do something new and explore that sort of new level of content, and sailing really is that. It is absolutely going to be the biggest thing we've ever done in a skill format when skills are such a core identity to our game. I just think it's hard not to be excited at what that means.